Yes, sir.
So, what do you think? People are just sleeping at this moment, just connected to MS Team and their. It's expected, na? Kunal, hello, Kunal. Okay, I am using this MS Team first time. So, can you tell me what is the significance of this red symbol and gray symbol? Status unknown. It shows status unknown. Hello, Manish. Manish Agarwal. I'm getting lots of red means in a call. Okay, but what is gray? What this gray color indicates? They're idle.
Yes,
Okay, okay. Don't need to waste our time. Uh, Let me discuss this thing. So, class and object. These things are a little bit clear to you. Now, if I say that if you want to build your house, you will allocate memory. Sorry, you will allocate a land. So you have to purchase a land. If you purchase a land in object-oriented programming perspective, if you want to allocate memory for object, if you create an object, memory will be allocated for the object. So who will be responsible for this memory allocation? It's constructor. So using a constructor, we can allocate memory for an object. Okay. Now, try to understand the difference between C programming and Java programming. In C programming, when we are allocating a memory, then a garbage, if you declare a memory int for integer variable like int x, if you write printf percentile dx, so the value of x will be garbage. Okay, so value of x is garbage in C programming language, but in Java programming language, the value of x is not garbage. It will be initialized by 0. Okay, so basically the how garbage collector works in two different languages, the techniques are different. In C programming language, it will allocate only the land. It's something like when you purchase your land, the owner will hand over the deed to you. But in case of Java, the land will be cleaned and it will be handed over to you. Okay, so this is the basic difference. Now, my question is in previous lab session or in previous classes, I think few things has been discussed that in a class, the purpose of constructor is allocating the memory. What do you mean by constructor? So in a class, if we have multiple constructor or overloaded constructor, is there any need of overloading of constructor? Can you give me any example that in that case overloading is needed? Constructor overloading. Akash, can you hear me? Hello? Whether can you hear me or not? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, so Amrita, are you active?
Yes, sir.
So uh, can you give me one example that what is the where this constructor overloading is needed?
I mean, there is multiple methods with the same name but different signature. Mm, constructor overloading.
I am talking about any example. Can you give me any example? Okay, just for a moment, we can discuss. Basically, I will try to discuss with examples. The reason is in future you have to solve the problems. Just learning or knowing the syntaxes and semantics of a language is not a difficult task, but you should apply it properly when a problem is being given to you, how to solve this problem. So language is nothing but tools. You have lots of tools, you have to apply it at proper place. Okay, so if I say that if you go to bank, you want to open a savings account. Now, if you go to bank, if you submit the document, bank officer will ask to submit some documents. Now you have brought only 2 or 3 documents. Okay, so if you bring these documents, so when you will become a customer of this bank, when you are submitting the documents, bank manager will create an object for you. So a customer object will be created for you. Now, if we create customer object for you, now you may submit your Aadhaar card and PAN card. Your friend is going to the same bank and he is submitting your friend is going to the same bank and he is submitting PAN card and voter card. We have to create the object of customer. Can I use the same constructor for creating object? You are submitting PAN card and Aadhaar card. Your friend is submitting PAN card and voter card to open this bank account. Is it possible to call the same constructor? So if I create savings account class, I have a savings account class. So if in this savings account class, I define 2 constructor, then for different customers, different constructor can be called based on their submitted document. Okay. So this is the purpose. In reality, you have to apply it in this way. In simple form, if I want to design a calculator, I want to define a method to add 2 numbers. Okay. It's batch your section 2. Okay. I will fetch B. Okay, just give me a minute. I want to share my screen. For today, we are discussing lots of theory related things, but from the next class, we will discuss theory as well as code parallelly. Just to clarify few things again, I am discussing this. Okay, if I write a class, okay, I'm giving this name calculator. My class name is calculator. Now in this class, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I create a function like this, void add int x and int y. So this function will receive two arguments. So if I return this, so using this function, I can return x plus y. This is function. Now, if I define another method which will add three variables int z. So here it will receive x, y, z and return sum of them. Now, if I define another method at float z, okay, if I write this, so it will calculate the result and it will be returned. So this is basically method overloading. A class may have multiple methods having the same name, but their signature should be different. So signature means number of parameters and their data types. And they should be non-conflicting. So this is method overloading. Now in case of a class, we may overload the constructor. So constructor is being called at the time of creating an object of the class. So if we create an object of the class, then we may need to pass some values which will be used to initialize this object. So if we pass those values, we have to pass them as a parameter to the constructor. Like for this class, if I create a constructor, I can create a constructor like this. So constructor name and class name should be same. Okay. Now, my next question is, so we can overload method, we can overload constructor. Okay. Now I'm coming to inheritance. With this example, I will come to inheritance. I will create another project, test. Just closing them. I'm going to define three classes. Say the topmost class is A. A is the topmost class. I'm creating another class B. B class inherits class A. So A is the topmost class. B is inheriting A class. Now I am creating another class C, which will inherit class B. Okay. Now from my test program, I want to call them. So I want to define another class, test main. From this test main, I will create an object of C class. Okay, so it's an object of C class, new C. I want to create an object. Okay, look at this example. This one is very important. I'm going to discuss few things here. So I'm creating an object of class C. Now I'm going to define a constructor. So what will be the constructor? Okay, I will write it here by A. I'm going to create a constructor here. Here I'm writing a message that I am in class A. So A is a constructor. A is a constructor of this A class. Now I will use similar type of constructor in B class. So I'm going to define another constructor B. So I am in here. If this constructor is being called, it will print I am in class B. If the constructor is defined in class C, if this constructor is being called, it will print I am in class C. Do you get my point? Are you getting my point? What will be the output if I run this program? In test main, if I create an object of C class, then which constructor will be called? Hello?
C constructor will work.
So what will be the message in C constructor? The message is I am in class C. So what will be the output if I run this program?
Sir, I am in class C হওয়া উচিত কিন্তু এবারে ওখানে আরো ইনহেরিটেন্স করছে মাল্টি লেভেলে তো ওটা বলতে পারছি না
Okay, just a minute, huh? I will receive just a call. হ্যাঁ নৈরিতা হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ আমি তোমার সাথে একটু পরে কথা বলছি নৈরিতা, আমি ওটা আগে শেয়ার করো না, আমি ক্লাসটা নিয়ে নিই, আমার 4টেই শেষ হবে, এই 4টে না 5টাই শেষ হবে, আমি তোমাকে কল করছি, ঠিক আছে? শরীর ভালো আছে তো এখন? আচ্ছা আমি হ্যাঁ আমি তোমার সাথে পরে কথা বলছি। Okay. So if I run this program, let me run this program. It will print I am in class C. This message is being printed at the last. If I am creating an object of class C, why these two lines are being printed?
মাল্টি লেভেল ইনহেরিটেন্স হচ্ছে স্যার, আবার সি থেকে বি তে যাচ্ছে, বি থেকে আবার এ তে যাচ্ছে, কারণ ক্লাস বি এক্সটেন্ডস ক্লাস এ এন্ড ক্লাস সি এক্সটেন্ডস ক্লাস বি, তো ওই রকম ভাবে টপ মোস্টে যাচ্ছে, দি তারপর নিচে, দি তারপর লাস্টে সি।
So basically when we are inheriting a class, So if you create an object of this subclass, automatically its parent class constructor is being called, and that will be called as the first line. Though we are not writing any explicit call of the parent constructor, but parent constructor is being called. So when we are creating an object of C class, it calls, when this constructor is being called, it calls the constructor of the superclass. Then when it goes to this superclass, then the constructor of the superclass, then from this B constructor of the superclass is being called. That's why first it will print I am in class A, then it will print I am in class B, then it will print I am in class C. Now, if my question is, lots of things we have to discuss in this chapter in inheritance. If I define this constructor like this, say the constructor in class A receives a parameter. Now, is there any problem? Why? Previously it was compiled successfully. Now it shows this error. What is the reason of this error? Do you understand?
Default constructor is now parameterized constructor now in class A.
So here we are getting an error in class B in this constructor. So if we are getting this error, the reason is explicitly we are not calling the constructor, but implicitly it is being called. So now we have to call this constructor of the superclass. So if I pass, say I'm passing 10, I have to pass this 10. So if I call this super, so it means, it indicates that the constructor of the superclass is being called. Okay, so two things are clear from this line. So if I overwrite, if I define a parameterized constructor, then default constructor is being withdrawn. Default constructor is not present anymore. If you do not have any constructor in a class, default constructor will be provided. But if you define a constructor in a class, default constructor will not be provided anymore. What is the next point? So from one class, previously we did not write anything here because implicitly it is being called. The constructor of the parent class is being called. Now, if we have any if you have any constructor which is not the default constructor, we have to explicitly call this constructor. That's why we have to call this constructor in this way. We have to use this super keyword to call the superclass constructor. Now, if I say it's Z, again the same problem will appear. In class C, from this constructor, it is by default constructor of B is being called, so which is overwritten now. So we have to pass, we have to call this like this on. So super is being used to call the superclass constructor. Do you have any doubt up to this? Hello.
Ari kan background গান লাগাও বে বাবা না পয়সা পাবে
Hello. Do you have any confusion up to this? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, so in this way, classes are being inherited. Just a minute. In this section, you have inspector super. Okay. Have you used the keyword final? Have you used the keyword final? Say in this class, in class A, I am writing a method void show. This is a method. I have a method void show. So if I print it this way, it will print I am show method in A, class A. It will print this message. Can I write the same method in class B? I can write the same method in class B. So here I will print this, that I am a show method in class B. Here in class C, I will print I am in class C. Now from this test main, after creating this object, if I call this show method, what will be the output? A student, what should be the output?
C টা হবে স্যার।
So it will
C টা হবে,
print
C টা।
I am in C. This is the output. I am in C. So what is the reason of this? The reason is the method which is defined in class A, in class B, I am overriding this method. So overriding means if a class inherits another class. So if a method which is defined in the parent class is being redefined in child class, then it is overriding. The technique is overriding. Okay, so after overriding, the method of B class is being again overridden by this method show in C class. That's why it will print that I am show method in class C. The previous methods are, or the methods which are defined in superclasses are overridden. Now, if I write this one, int j, what will be the output? The output is same. The output is same. Object.show, which one will be called? It will call the method in class C. Okay, it will call the method in class C. But who is the, whether this show method is overriding this class B? No, this method is not being overridden. This is a parameter. So from this one, I can call object dot show with parameter also. If I print this one, I can call it. So now show, this first method and second method both are residing in the same class. This first method is being inherited from class A, which is being overwritten in class C, and this method show with parameter, it is defined in class B, which is being inherited. Okay, so in this way we can work with constructors and methods. So if we define multiple methods having the same name with different signature, it's method overloading. If we define multiple constructor with different parameters, then it's constructor overloading. And in parent class, if we have a class, if we have a method, and in child class, if we define the method again, then it's overriding. Okay, so overriding means the method defined in parent class will be overwritten. It will be overridden by the subclass method or child class method. Up to this, is there any doubt? Hello? Is there any doubt up to this? Okay, then we have covered method overloading, method overriding. Okay, here we will discuss one more thing. In this class, if I define this method as final, if I define this method as final, then here I will get this message that a final method cannot be overridden. If you define a method as final, then in subclasses you can't override the method. Okay, so here you can't override it. You can use overloaded method, but you can't override the method which is final. Getting my point? So a final method cannot be overloaded. Now the next question is, if I have a class like this one, if I have a class which is final, so final class cannot be inherited. Okay, so a final method cannot be overridden, a final class cannot be inherited. So what is the requirement of this final class or final method? In designing an application at certain place, if you find such a scenario that you need to define a method which should not be modified by anyone in future development. anyone should not be able to redefine the method. Then the method needs to be defined as final. Sometimes we need to define a class which cannot be inherited. Then the class needs to be final. Okay. Okay, we don't have any time. So in the next class, I'll check the routine. In the next class, I will discuss abstract class. I'll discuss abstract class and few more things in this section. Okay. Let's see. Just a minute. Okay, I will give you the problems like this. Oh, can you see my document, or you are getting Eclipse editor till now?
Eclipse.
Eclipse. Okay. Hello. Whether someone is trying to communicate. Hello. Okay. If I give you these problems, try to solve these problems, and every section I will give you small problems so that you can solve them. Okay, I will share this content with you, and in the next class, if you have any doubt when you are trying to solve this problem, I will discuss it over the next class. Okay. In C programming language, do you know that where printf and scanf, these functions are defined? In which file printf, scanf, these functions are defined?
The header files.
Which header file?
In case of C++, it's IOStream, and in case of C, it's stdio.
stdio.h. Okay. Have you ever opened this header file .h? Have you ever opened this header file?
No, sir. We are happy with what we have.
Okay. Don't be happy in future. If you can solve a problem in your first attempt, then basically, if you are able to solve a problem in your first attempt, either you are too intelligent, or
You are lucky.
Probably. I don't know whether I should use the term lucky. But if you fail to solve this problem, obviously if you solve the problem in future, you will be master of that technology. You will be master, obviously. Whenever you will face some problem, you will try to understand it in granular level, and you will be able to analyze it properly. In C programming language, probably I'm contradicting with your whatever you know at this moment. In C programming language, .h header files do not contain any function definition. Most of the header files do not contain header function definition. Printf, scanf, these functions are not defined in stdio.h. Today you can open the file and you can check. The functions are declared in header file. Functions are defined in system library, which is pre-compiled binary code. You can open the file, you will be able to visualize it. Header file contains function prototype or declaration. Definition is kept as a pre-compiled object file or binary file. Okay. Now, that's why when you are writing a program, you have learned that loading, linking, these are the different phases. Okay. You have next class at 5. Do you have any class just after this one?
No, sir.
May I take only 10 minutes? Which topic I have just started, I will stop it with this one. I'll just take 10 minutes. We are going beyond our schedule, but just I will show you on. Okay, I can share this one also. I can, if I can share whiteboard. Can you see my whiteboard? Is it visible to you, whiteboard?
Sir. Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. I'm taking this on, like if you write a program test.c, this is your program test.c. Okay, sorry. Okay, test.c. So when you are compiling this program in Windows system, what is being generated? Test.out. Okay. In Windows system, a text.exe file will be generated, but in Linux environment, these intermediate files are different. So intermediate files are basically, I think you have compiled the program in Linux environment. Can you just respond to that? Have you compiled the .c program in Linux environment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So finally, after compilation, what is being generated? A.out. This is the file which is being generated. Now you can run it as just you can use like this one. You can execute the program in this way. But remember that there are some intermediate steps. First, it will generate test.i. Then it will generate test.s. Then it will generate test.o. And finally, this file a.out will be generated. These are the intermediate steps. I will compare it with Java. Okay, in the next class, I will compare this one with Java. Just try to correlate. So here, if you have written this program test.c, you know preprocessor directives? Preprocessor, hash include, hash define, these are the preprocessors. Anyone, can you unmute yourself? Hello, Aditya.
Yes, sir.
You can keep yourself unmute. Okay, you can unmute yourself. Okay. So if I write test.c, so you know preprocessor directives?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So why these things are named as preprocessor?
Sir, actually, means it prepares the program before compilation. That's what it's called preprocessor, maybe.
Okay. In your program, if you write something like hash define max 10, if you write hash define max 10, so in your program, wherever this max will appear, that will be replaced by 10.
Yeah.
It will be performed just at the very beginning of compilation. So at which time it will be performed? So the macros or preprocessors will be replaced. So that will be done here. So basically, this type of operations will be performed here. So after replacing these preprocessors or macros, the code which will be generated, that is test.i. This is an intermediate code. .i is represents intermediate code. So in your test.c, you have written this line also, like hash include stdio.h. You have written this hash include stdio.h. This line will be replaced. This line will be replaced by the content of stdio.h. So in test.i, I will show you that in test.i, just a minute. Oh. Hello. হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ পেয়েছি, মানে কালকে তো কথা বললাম, মেশো তো এখন ভালো আছে। হ্যাঁ, কি খবর পেয়েছো না পাওনি? হ্যাঁ। আচ্ছা, আমি কল করছি, হবে এখন 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 শ্বাসকষ্ট হবে এই অবস্থাতে, টেস্ট করেছে তো। আমি কল করছি, দাঁড়াও 10 মিনিট মতো পরে আমি মেশোকে ফোন করছি, মাসির কাছে আমি কল করছি, দাঁড়াও। Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after this replacement, test.i is being generated. It's an intermediate code. Now, from this test.i file, this is an assembly level code. If we say this one, this .s is basically assembly level code. Okay, in microprocessor, you will learn this. So it's assembly level code. It's assembly code. And finally, an object code will be generated. This is object code, which is being generated out. Okay, test.o. Now, after that, this is an executable code. Executable. This is an executable code. So in this way, it is being performed. So from this test.c, finally a.out file is being generated. So these are the intermediate steps. In Java programming language, we have also comparable steps. which you should understand. So in Java programming language, we are writing test. Say my class name is test.java. This is my class name. Finally, what is being generated? It's test.class. This is an object. What type of code it is? It's a binary code. Okay. So instead of binary code, it will be better if we represent it by byte code. Okay, so instead of this name, I will prefer to use byte code. So dot class file is a byte code. So from this test.java, if I compile it after compilation, this file is being created. This file is being created. Now this file is being executed on your system. A.out in Linux environment. In Windows environment, this one will be test.exe. An exe file can be executed on a system directly. Similarly, in a Linux environment, A.out file can be executed directly on that system. But the problem is this test.class file cannot be executed on Windows or Linux system directly. This test.class file needs to be executed on a different layer. So on top of operating system, if we draw it in this way, we have hardware. Now we have operating system. On top of this operating system, we have to install Java virtual machine. We will discuss JVM in detail later. So we have to install Java virtual machine. Now these .class files will be loaded in JVM and they will be executed. So the class files needs to be loaded in JVM and they will be executed. But in C program, whether it's A.out file or test.exe file, these files can be executed directly on that system. But in case of Java, we have to install Java virtual machine, and on top of Java virtual machine, we can run this byte code. We'll discuss these things in detail later on. Okay. Okay, so today we have just discussed constructor overloading and method overloading. Okay, we'll discuss abstract class on the next day. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you know how to download this attendance sheet? Participants. Oh, download attendance list. Okay, fine. Okay, then I will check routine. I can't remember when the next class is scheduled. Okay, I will schedule the class according to your routine, and in the next class I will discuss this thing. So if you have any doubt on this page, which you can see right now, if you have any doubt here, you can ask me before leaving this class. Hello, Sir. I forgot the name. Sir. Hello. Okay. Aditya,
Yes, sir.
What is the name of the seer? Can you tell him to send me or contact me over WhatsApp? It will
Okay,
be
sir.
better.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the meantime, if you have any doubt before the next class, you can call me or you can drop me a message, and we can discuss over phone, or you can sit over the team or MS team. Okay. Okay.
sir.
Then if you do not have any query, then we can close this session here. But I will expect that this is my first day in your college and with your batch. So I will expect that you will share your experience, that whether I'm going fast or I'm going too slow. If you can share this with me, then I will take the next class or arrange the next class accordingly. Okay. Okay. Bye. I'm leaving this room right now. Okay.